So a lot of folks are uncomfortable with the idea of entrepreneurship. It's terrifying to people in my generation because it means having a lot of responsibilities. It means having a lot of fear factors, failures, uncertainty as to whether this idea is going to succeed or not. So the thought of an entrepreneur is kind of like a daredevil, somebody jumping off of a cliff with a parachute, hoping that it will open up, and sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. So when I talk to people about thinking like an entrepreneur in terms of succeeding in their career, my goal is to get them thinking the way a business person thinks when negotiating salaries, when dealing with the nuances of a job, when asking for how you can get a raise. Sometimes you have to go to a client and ask the client to go up on a price point because the market conditions have shifted or changed. So the idea of thinking like an entrepreneur is sort of like encompassing of the characteristics involved in the future job economy, from my perspective anyway. People are going to have to figure out how to brand themselves. They're going to have to figure out how to sell themselves. They're going to have to figure out what their price point or their salary really is. Not what a company is offering, but what their salary is, what they're going to be charging. And the good thing is millennials are fascinating because they grew up in a world where they taught themselves, technology taught them, and they have gotten a better handle on how to navigate this whole world of the gig economy. A lot of them have multiple jobs. They may have a 9-to-5 doing something basic, and then they've got an application that's being developed online or a product that's being sold on Amazon.com or something else like that. So it's fascinating to me that millennials have actually adopted quite well, but generations before millennials are having a hard time dealing with the shift in paradigm of what the workforce means and is. So thinking like an entrepreneur is a simplistic way of saying to people, do not just get a job and sit there in your laurels thinking that everything is okay. And then one day your boss calls you and say, guess what? This job is no more. Artificial intelligence is going to be doing 90% of what you do, and we don't need you any longer, and you're left without a job. So having multiple things on your plate that you can sort of decipher and work on and build a career towards is a good thing. So the idea of specializing in something, I think, is becoming an obsolete thought and concept. My whole purpose of writing the book is because I think our educational system has to change. I think the way we learn has to change, because right now you go to schools and the learning process is very archaic. So schools have to form partnerships with corporations, and governments have to support this in a more deliberate way. And that's not what is being done right now. What is being done is that schools are separate entities, corporations are separate entities, the government just kind of stays in the background. But everyone needs to get involved in order to make sure that the future generation of students and workers are coming out of college or universities with multiple skills in their pockets, not just one-trick pony skills, but multiple skills that they can use to ensure that, let's say you're working as a computer tech with a company, and that program that you're using suddenly becomes obsolete because China came up with a more sophisticated programming system, then you're left basically without a job. But if you had other things on the table that you can sort of work on, apply to your life, that gives you a competitive advantage, because suddenly you're not dealing with the monotony of one job becoming obsolete, but you're dealing with a diversity of jobs that you can do based on the fact that you have a nice portfolio. It's like investment, right? You don't put all of your money in one company in the stock market. You want to invest in many different companies. So why should your career be different? So think like an entrepreneur. Think about diversification. Diversification is a key component to succeeding in your career.